Last week on the Al Nicoletti Show.
Let's bring him on. Let's bring Cash Money Mike on the show. What's up, baby? You're live. Let's see if this thing's actually working. What would you say has been like the number one thing that you've learned throughout this whole process?
Certain deals pay a certain way for a certain amount of time. Anytime you go up in price, you want to go out in time.
Another thing that you really talked about was understanding the concept of time in seller finance.
The more time you get, the more money you make, the more money the seller is going to make. A great strategy for long-term wealth. And I like to leave them conversation when I'm attacking them where it's going to have the most impact. I never like to assume that they understand what I understand. You know what's so great about seller finance is that it's great for multifamily.
If I have one assistant doing one thing and I have another assistant doing another thing, and we don't have it mapped out as to you're doing this and you're working on this, it's so important to have those kinds of things outlined as standard operating procedures. Everybody seems to talk about consistency. I think the one thing that people miss, it's like there's consistency, but then there's another underlying current called sustainability. You can be consistent all you want, but can you sustain the thing that you're being consistent with? I don't think I hear anybody talking about sustainability. That's a deep question of drive. What a wild episode last week with Cash Money Mike. I really wish the internet had been a lot better on Cash Money's side and the video quality, but we were able to get some golden nuggets from that episode. If you missed any of that, definitely go back and check out that episode. And you can find all the amazing guests that have been on the Al Nicoletti Show on Spotify, iTunes, and Google Play under the Al Nicoletti Show, Season 1, Season 2, Season 3. And the video that drops on YouTube. And of course, you can catch the micro content, which is on Instagram and Facebook. You don't want to miss tonight's episode. You want to talk about super investors. You want to talk about rising rock stars. You want to talk about people that are really rising in their industry, in their local markets. You want to stay tuned for David Pupo's episode. He is bringing fire, electric. I mean, he has so many good things to say, and he has a really interesting journey on whether it's partnerships, coming to systems and automatizations, and how you can really fine tune that in your business and what the triple offer is. We're going to dive in on that. So I hope everybody's there. I'm just checking the live feed right now. I want to see what's going on. Teresa's on, John's on. Wow. I got the land people on tonight. That's going to be good. So everybody take out your pens, papers. I mean, I'm ready. I got my stuff going right here. I got all the notes from all the guests. It's really cool. Got a whole notebook going. So let's kick this thing off tonight. Let's rock this. Hey everybody, my name is Al Nicoletti. I'm an attorney here in Florida, and welcome to the Al Nicoletti Show, where I bring on real estate super investors, rising rock stars, movers and shakers, and leaders of clubs in their community that educate, entertain, and inspire all things on Florida real estate and all the amazing other niches that are in our industry in real estate. Whether it's Airbnb and land, commercial, you name it, we bring on the best that talk about all the real estate side of things, whether it's investing, you're in the realtor world, or maybe it's real estate adjacent, on how you can take your company to the next level. On my show today, I got David Pupo, the super investor out of Orlando. This guy is crushing it with deals, and what a story he has. And he has been doing this since 2016 and been really focusing on how you can provide value, bring more value to your customers, to your clients, to your sellers, and do a lot of deals. Doing deals in Florida, finding that niche market. And I think David is a fascinating guest. So I actually got connected with David from Marlena Dates. I remember I was down at the REI Live Orlando. I did a whole presentation there. And I remember like a day or so later, Marlena connected me with David in a text thread and said, hey, I want to connect you all. David wasn't able to be there, but I want to make sure because this is a really good connection. Al's doing probate, David's doing investing. From there, me and David kicked it off, hit it off, got to meet him for the first time at a 10 growth. And we really had a blast there, really hit it off. And I love his story. I love his energy. I love the way he's able to deliver. And I think this is just a great episode for people to watch because he will help figure out where you can fit in the partnerships and automatizations in your business and how you can really level up your stuff. So without further ado, let's welcome him to the show. David, what's going on, brother? He's there. We got the smiley face. He's doing good. Boy, these internet things are something else, aren't they? You just got to love it. You know, when we're doing the show, you never know what's going to happen on a show. And this is fantastic, right? We got the smiley face going in a freeze frame. Maybe we'll just do a Q&A with David on the screen like this, right? David, what are your thoughts on real estate? Perfect. We're good right there. Would you do more deals tomorrow? Absolutely. He'd do it. He's going to come off the screen. But, you know, when we bring on these guests, when we bring on all these guests that are doing big deals in their markets, these are the people you really want to pay attention to, especially, I mean, look at the news that came out the other day. The Fed saying that they're going to raise the rates again to fight inflation. Well, how is that going to affect the real estate market? Do we really know? Are home prices even really coming down? But what does that mean as far as what sellers are going to do? What does that mean as far as what people are going to do as far as buying property? So paying attention to the trends and the shifts is going to help a lot in people's businesses. And we'll make sure David gets back on for this. But just want to say, I saw Teresa's comment. She said, grateful and excited to be here for another awesome episode. Can't thank you enough and your team enough for this. You know, we work hard. We're here. Everybody's ready to do deals. Everybody's ready to learn this kind of stuff. So this is super helpful for people. And David, he lost power. Wow. You know, okay. So actually, I think this is a perfect time to talk about this. So when the show first started, when we first started doing live episodes, right? Taylor, I didn't have time to make a whole outline for tonight. I'm sure she's loving it. When I first started with Mike doing these live episodes, when something went wrong, actually, this is great. Kind of goes to Steve Rosenberg's point about what do you do in these crazy situations? Like, do you have that championship medal? Do you stay steady? When you get into these moments, you have to really mentally prepare about what's next and what do you do, right? So when Mike and I were first starting to do the live productions of the show, there was always something that would happen. The light would go out. Something happened with the battery. The cord on the MacBook is off. The sound, when we had Matt Lentz's episode, the sound went out. And back then, it was crazy because it felt very frustrating every single time there was something that happened. And I think what's happened over time is you start learning that even when all these little things keep popping up, you have to remember and get back to the basics and know that things are going to work out and soothe out. It's a matter of how is it going to play out? How can you control the situation? How are you going to manage that situation when it happens, right? So even if the power goes out for somebody like, so David's going to be on, but even when the power goes out, you still have to find a way to manage through that and fight through that. So I just wanted to say that as a nice little, because there's always something that happens every time Mike and I are talking about this. There's always something, you name it. Like even before he came one time, the circuit breaker went out and never, I haven't looked at a circuit breaker in a long time. And I was like, I have no idea what's going to happen. So guess what? Fixed it, figured it out. Show still went on. So let's see if he's good now. David, you on? Let's see. I think this is going to be good. Without further ado, let's welcome him to the show. David Pupo. Let's go, baby. He's still thinking about it. No. He's still thinking about it. Boy, you gotta love the internet. You gotta love the internet. There's only so many things you can do. So, anybody working on any crazy deals right now? So what's everybody, Teresa, what can we do, right? Got to roll with the punches. I'd love to do some stand up on some crazy things I see right now. What can you do? Anybody working on anything kind of cool? Any kind of crazy deals? Anything happening in our real estate market? Maybe he'll jump on right now. Let's try it now. All right, how about now? You're good.
I think we're pretty good.
We're good. Let's roll. I think you're doing it. You're on.
Wow.
You're live. You're moving. There's a lot more progress than before.
Woo!
Rock and
you
roll.
Brought so much energy to my house from Jacksonville that you shut down.
I shut it down, baby. Well,
you're shut
live,
it down.
Man. You're
from Jacksonville
you're
to
live.
Orlando.
Love it.
That was too great.
Well,
how's everything going, man? What a brilliant introduction.
Hey, I am always here to really help level you up, tell everybody who the guest is. I want everybody to know like what you've been through, your journey. Of course, we can get probably into a whole story about the journey. But yeah, no, welcome. I mean, we've talked about this for a while. I think this is perfect. I mean, again, I saw you at a 10 growth, and that was a huge conference. What was that? Back in June of last year.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Since I saw you last June, how much has changed? Like, what kind of things have changed and pivoted?
Since last June. So last June, I would say a lot has changed. We've now been making more progression into bigger acquisitions. The wholesaling company has gotten a lot more streamlined and automated since then. We've launched a coaching program for people that have now had difficulty adjusting to what this current market is, as you kind of imagine. So yeah, it's been a crazy ride just in 8 months.
Yeah, and I know, and especially with what's happened with the interest rates since then, right? I was kind of talking about that. I saw your bio. I saw a little bit about it. We could get into a whole story about the journey, but being in corporate and then jumping into the real estate world in that transition, what was the biggest lesson you learned in that moment, in that transition?
We have a lot of things holding us back that we succumb to day in, day out. And it wasn't until I got to the point where I just hated the job so much that I was just like, you know what? I can do this. There was a shift in mind where I just had, I can do this. And I was like, I'm going to go and do it. And that's exactly what I did. I put in a 2-week notice and I just went crazy gangbusters and was trying to get deals done. Luckily enough, I had support of friends and family. It's not usually that easy because my girlfriend, now wife, she was a huge support to me. And I told her, hey, I'm going to give this 3 months and I'm going to just go all out. And that was 2016, man. And here we are in 2023.
Crazy. Yeah. I mean, and it all worked out, right? Like you look back and you're probably like, well, wait a second. That was a wild journey. And you go through some bumps in the road, different situations, different kind of moments. But one thing for sure that we were talking about the other day, which is a big topic among a lot of investors, is when you get into this game and you're not just doing it yourself, but you start forming partnerships, right? So tell us about partnerships and the good, the bad, the ugly, because I know that's going to lead us down to a whole rebuilding segment.
Right. So a really big book that I love by Gino Ackman is called Rocket Fuel, right? So the entire premise of Rocket Fuel is an integrator and a visionary, right? The vision, and then the person that actually puts the vision into practicality, like implements it, right? And I think it's very critical to be able to understand what you're looking for in a partner. I do believe you have to have that kind of idea and understanding of your lane of what you are or who you are. And I'm not saying necessarily you can't like overcome some weaknesses, but you're going to have natural strengths. And I think people nowadays always want to try finding that complementary piece. But what I've also been able to learn with partnerships is you can be able to delegate a lot of good stuff out as well. So I think you can find some really good complementary partners, and they can bring you to next levels if you have the right pieces intact. But I also believe that in this now day and age, you can be able to supplement a whole bunch of the tasks as well. So it's very critical to be able to understand that if you are going to get into a partnership, it's dating. I don't care what anybody tells you differently. It is dating. You got to make sure that you two are compatible, right? Because the last thing that you want is that it becomes a business divorce as opposed to a personal divorce, because you're still splitting assets, you're still splitting accounts, and who's walking away with what, right? That's
Right.
a business divorce. That's AKA a partnership breaking up. But you can also get a 1 + 1 = 3. And I do believe that, right? That kind of power in a partnership can actually have fantastic multiplier effect on it.
So David, like thinking about like what the good is, the benefits to having a partner in deals, or is it, looking back, is it better to have like a partner on just like one deal, or could it be just good in your business period? Because I mean, your situation was different. I mean, you guys were in it for the long haul, and then things dissolve. But do you see it sometimes as a benefit, just maybe having one partner on a deal, like a JV, just partner on one deal versus, I mean, your whole business?
Absolutely. I think once again, I think it comes back to dating, right? That's going out on dates. That's doing some JV deals here and there, here and there. And then if you guys have been able to do a fair amount together and you have like that kind of just sync like up mentality and it works, then heck, then you take it to the next steps. But I do think you have to have that kind of mindset that let's see how we perform together on some deals, right? Let's go see where when we hit adversity, things aren't closing, probate issues that we don't know about come up. How are these people dealing with adversity? Because that's when you're going to start seeing some different colors of a person when adversity hits, right? So give it a couple of tries for sure before absolutely just taking the plunge.
So in your perspective, what is David looking for in a partner? Like, you know your strong suits, and you know the things you want to delegate. Like, where do you see it? Because like I know in my business, I'm more of the marketer. I'm more of the front man. I'm more of I love dabbling, of course, in the law firm stuff, but I'm not gonna deal with the money or the bookkeeping and stuff. I'm gonna hire somebody for that. I'm gonna bring somebody on for that. Right. Like there's certain things I know I'm not gonna do with the math. Right. Where do you see your strong suits and what you look for in the partner?
Absolutely. So I also think that it depends on what I'm looking at, right? Am I looking at like multifamily, like apartment complexes or like portfolios? Or am I looking for like a business partner in like, say, like a real estate investment company? They're different people, right? Because what I'm looking for in like, say, like a multifamily portfolio, or if we're scaling out to get a lot more acquisitions going, I'm looking for somebody that's very heavy in operations, right? Who knows how to get the operations, the stabilizations, the coordinations, somebody that knows a little bit more about project management. I would like to be able to say, when I get more into multifamily, I see myself becoming the asset manager that oversees all the other managers, right? We got to be able to be that visionary role with the multifamily too. So I would like to be something like what you just mentioned, somebody that's handling a lot of the in-between stuff, right? So I would say really somebody that's really strong, really heavy on operations. I would say my skill sets are being able to negotiate, are being able to market, and also I've been able to do pretty well so far. I haven't had to test myself to now like too much further than about $1 or $2 million in private capital raised. But once we're starting to hit 5, 10, $15 million acquisitions, so far I've been pretty good at raising private capital, but let's see what that looks like when we're hitting those kind of levels.
Yeah, and if you're doing those kinds of things, you want to find somebody that's going to complement you and do things that you don't want to do, or the strong suits aren't really there, but their strong suits are there to help you on that, right?
Right.
And do the and all the back end stuff, right? All the things that you don't either want to handle, or it's more what they want to do. So that's the good side to finding it, right? What's the ugly side to it though?
Well, I mean, I'm going through with actually some of my coaching clients right now. It was two ladies that were going into, and sometimes it's something out of, unfortunately, desperation. This is what I realized, is that they were just so eager to be able to get deals done that they were like, you know what, let's gather our limited resources and let's go in on this together. But the problem was they didn't have the same goals. The goals were nowhere near aligned. One of them is trying to do very heavy with doing acquisitions and wholesaling. The other one is trying to build up her own rental portfolio. So when I was teaching her creative financing and being able to come up with those strategies, she's thinking, oh, I'm looking to hold those. And the other partner was like, well, no, we're building a wholesaling company. We need to sell those. So you immediately clash. Especially if you're sub 5, 10 deals and you don't have that kind of cap reserves yet. That is very critical. Where are you both going? Where is this boat going to? Is very critical to understand for any partnership. If you're not on that same boat, that thing is going to sink like the Titanic quick.
So like you were doing through your coaching students, do you write that stuff down too and see if the goals align? Do you guys write everything down, plan it out, have a meeting, maybe like a brainstorm mastermind, and say, are we aligned? Or maybe it's almost like do you have quarterly meetings too to keep seeing if it is aligned, right? Because if you're talking about it's like dating, in the beginning it could be great, but 6 months down the road, your visions have changed or everybody's desires and interests have changed. Do you have like quarterly or semi-annual meetings?
With the people that are in the coaching program, we actually do this stuff on a weekly basis. So I like to be able to have like accountability sheets where we're going through everything. I want to see what the leads are being generated, and also because there's 2 phases, right? It's very simple to any small business. There's lead generation and there's conversion of those leads. So I got to find out very quickly, especially people who are just starting out, are they having a tough time generating leads? Or am I seeing that all these leads are coming in and they're not getting contracts, right? So that's something very critical I've done with them on a weekly basis, right? Ask them, hey, what's going on with you girls? Are you girls hitting the 200 numbers 200 leads that you want to dial? And then that's when you start seeing the cracks. They start pointing fingers at each other as opposed to we didn't do it, right?
Right.
That is where I started seeing the cracks. Is that, well, I don't know if, let's just call her Sally. I don't know if Sally was going to be making calls Tuesday, but it looks like I was going to be making the calls instead. So they were trying to alternate who was doing what. And I tried telling them, like, listen, you both have to just generate leads. That's it. That is your only goal right now. Generate leads. Get the leads in the system. And then I can help you out with converting them. Let's see what's going on with these people. Bring them up. We'll go on some chats together. Heck, I've even spoken with a couple of the sellers for them, and let's get conversions, right? But then you have well, it looks like Sally did 40 calls and I only was able to do 90 calls. So we weren't able to get to the 200 calls. So I'm like, okay, like you can't use that against each other, right? That's, once again, you don't want to arrive to the party late and then you immediately want to go blame your significant other why you're late, right? You just, hey, sorry, we were late. That's it, right? That's it. That's what you want to leave it at. You don't want to undermine that other person. But I started seeing that. So that is something now I am looking for when I'm taking new applications for people who are partnerships. I want them to be able to take down a 3-month, a 6-month, and a 12-month goal. What are they trying to get out of it? Because I did write a couple of questions, but that's the beauty of being able to do the coaching. We learn. I thought I understood it. And then another curveball was thrown at me. I'm like, oh, okay, now I got to look out for this, right? Now I got to make sure that these people are aligned, because I would ask them, where are you at? Where are you trying to go? And how can I help you get there? Right? Those are like some of my bigger 3 questions I like to be able to ask people. But now I'm seeing with partnerships, I got to be able to see where they're starting from. What are they trying to both accomplish is very critical. And another big thing that has been able to, that caused some tension very quickly was how should I put this? The mindset around marketing as an expense or an investment.
Okay, definitely.
I did not know
that.
that a partnership could think, well, it's something, of course, that you have on your profit and loss statements or any income statements, right? It shows marketing. But are you looking at that as an expense, or are you looking at it as it that this is going to make me more money? Because the person that is thinking about it as an expense is going to tighten it up if something's going wrong. Well, we weren't able to produce 20 leads. I gotta now find out how to tighten this, as opposed to like, well, maybe I should adjust what I'm doing with marketing so now I can get to 40 leads.
Gotcha.
So the people that are thinking about it as an expense, they don't think about multiplying. They just think about subtracting. Like, I got to make sure that this is cheaper for me, as opposed to how do I multiply this?
No, that makes sense. And you're going to have different philosophies with people that are going to be a part of the partnership, right? Some are going to want to see it as, I feel like you got to look at it as retooling. I feel like at a certain point, though, you definitely got to like clamp the expenses. But I see it as you got to keep retooling it. Yeah, if the leads aren't coming in, fix that. Keep going. And if they're still not coming in, then yeah, you got to try a different source at a certain point.
Right.
I know that you and I were talking about how like you went through your whole thing with the partnership, and actually right after that, you had to start from scratch, and how by actually starting from scratch, it actually benefited you because you realized how you didn't have the automatizations, the systemizations, and all of that kind of stuff set up. So what was that like, going through the breakup and then into starting from scratch, from square one?
Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of doubt. There was a lot of just overall like, oh my gosh, an overwhelmed feeling like, how do I do this again? Right. And then this is when I realized, after I did it again, that I have now developed a skill set. That was one of the biggest things I think I realized with it. But when I was going through that, because you're right, I would love to even say it was starting from scratch, because it was worse than being able to start from scratch, because there was existing debt, there was actually credit card debt, and there was also properties that we also have been able to purchase together. So it wasn't just okay, start back from square one, right? This is going back to, we're going below, we're going subterranean, right? So one of the things I think I realized when I did that was I had the epiphany of, and this is a book that everybody, I think a lot of people have read now. It's called Who Not How, right? So I just thought about all the different phases of wholesaling, right? Data management, acquisitions, dispositions, and like transaction coordination. And I just thought about how I can start separately delegating some of those tasks. Then I started reading books, not only after, Who Not How, I also started reading books about like more about systems and automatizations. Like, this is stuff from like Mike Michalowicz, right? So that was, I think it's like Clockwork. I think that's the book it's called. And then there's Systemology by David Jennings. Those two books, and then Who Not How, were like the 3 of my pillars of rebuilding. I started realizing, okay, well, I go through these things dang near every day. How about I start recording it? And then once I started recording it, my lovely wife, who doesn't have anything to do with real estate, I would record, like, let's just say like pulling a list from like Batch Leads or PropStream or something like that. So I would have me do it for 5 minutes, and then I would go, okay, and my wife's name is Sam. I go, hey, Sam, you obviously aren't in real estate. Can you follow these instructions? And so I would try dummy proofing it. So if she could do it, that means anybody could do it. And I'm not trying to knock her intelligence. I'm just saying she had nothing to do with real estate.
Right.
She had no idea what batch leads was. She had no idea what prop stream was. She had no idea how to skip trace something. I showed her step by step in a video, and then I realized now I can train other people to do it.
Yeah, and once you can start training other people to do it, you don't have to do it anymore, and now you're delegating out to people that can do it, like VAs or other assistants or anybody that you bring on the team. So that was good because I'm sure you were doing it all yourself before, or just dealing with all that other stuff when you're starting up the business and working with the partner, right? It feels good when you're able to finally say, I don't need to deal with that anymore, right? There's some teams I know now that are going through almost a retooling, right? Not like a rebuild, but a retooling where you scale to a certain point, and then all of a sudden, like, you're not going beyond that because the same people keep coming back to you with the same questions. When if you build out a system to answer those questions, or somebody else you can delegate to answer those questions, then you can keep ranking up and rising up. But it's difficult if you don't build those things. And I'm not saying I have that right now in play, but I see others that are doing that seems to work.
You know, you bring up a really good point, and this is an internal struggle I have had for a while, and it's still something I still deal with. And I think everybody at one point that starts their own business has this issue. It's that you want to put on your superhero cape and jump into the rescue and help these people out, but then you're conditioning that you're always helping, right? So I've been trying to be more. I have been more mindful of making sure of, like, okay, well, here's the process map. Let's just say like our dispositions process or something, right? So then I'll ask them, hey, have we followed the process map on being able to send this property out, right? And then like, well, yeah, we've done this, this, and this. And then I go, okay, well, did you follow the map fully through? And then they go, well, I had to ask you this. And then, okay, well, I think in the process map, if you recall, we go through like, here's the criteria that we want to make sure that this property fits before we send it out, right? So it's being able to make sure that you can put it back on them to solve it, because you can always solve it yourself, but then you're conditioned that they're always coming back to you, as you mentioned, and then they're taking away your time from what your superpower should be. And that's hopefully, in my world, generating more sales.
Right. Getting more leads and getting more business rather than dealing with all the back end stuff. I hear you. If you don't let them figure it out, or at least maybe make tutorial videos, right? Or that's why I like those programs like Loom. In the beginning when I'm training assistants, I had to use Loom, where I'm like, okay, I'm going to make this video. You save it, you put it in the file. This is how we order a death certificate. This is how we do this. Save it in the file, right? So those are some great systems that you can use. But you were even talking about, like, overcoming your limiting beliefs that you could do this now on your own. Like, what was that journey like too? Because I mean, there's always that going back and forth of self-doubt of like, I got this, and now
100%.
like, wait a second, what's going on? Do I have this? How are you managing through that?
Yeah, the mental health was tested, man. That's for sure. When you're going through that kind of adversity, you have to take some time to reflect on what just transpired. And then I think it also gave me an opportunity to really refine my purpose and my why. When you go through something like that, you have a very easy fight or flight situation. I could have easily just been like, you know what, man, I don't think this is for me anymore. But I chose to, you know what, I'm going to build this better than what I built it before. Right. And I think being able to say that I did that was like I said, I was able to just now say, I've now been able to build it back better and now more efficient. The team runs very well without me. The only thing I still keep myself in is being able to do the creative financing closings and stuff like that. I feel like that's still something I'm having a hard time copying and pasting to somebody else. But in terms of being able to, be able to bring up like novations or cash offers, my team is actually very, very well capable of doing it. It's very formula based now, but it's the creative financing stuff. I just find out That's where you really build really good rapport. And then I start finding out different things are more important to people. But I guess going back to like the mental health part, it tested my faith. It tested my belief in not only, my religion, but it was also testing my belief in myself, right? Right?
Absolutely.
You got to believe it. You have to believe yourself. If you do not believe yourself, man, it's tough. You're gonna be just drowning in doubt. So being able to meditate, being able to pray, being able to get like exercise going, all was really great things for me to be able to just feel better about myself, B, get clarity, and then C, man, I felt energized. Doing some deep breathing meditations, being able to feel like you're just at one with God is crazy. I don't think I actually really got to that until I got to a place of I would call it damn near desperation, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was looking for signs, and I was praying more than I ever have. And man, I came out the other side, and I started realizing that a lot of people have gone through a lot more than this, and they have been able to be very prosperous. I'm going to take this one step at a time. It's not going to just become a 7-figure wholesaling operation again that quickly. But what do I have to put? What pieces do I have to put back together, step by step by step? This did not happen in 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. This happened in about 6 to, I would say, dang near 8 months. And then you start realizing, oh man, Dispositions doesn't need me anymore. Oh man, my lead managers are now being able to assess and get great rapport with my sellers. Oh man, data managers know exactly what my criteria is. They just follow the Loom videos. And then slowly but surely, a lot more things were being taken off my plate. And it was great. It was fantastic. At one point, there was just a random Thursday, and I took all my appointments. All my properties were being dispoed. I had nothing to do. My transaction coordinator was talking with companies, and we were able to get contracts while I was golfing. And I was like, okay, this is now finally working.
And then you start thinking, am I supposed to be doing this right now? Or is this real life? Like this is what it's supposed to be. And it is, right? Like you want that freedom. Yeah. If you're able to actually step away from the office, or even have like, hey, we're doing deals, but I'm having a good time where I'm at right now. You've built your systems outright, right? You know you've trained and you've delegated outright. I was thinking of two things that you were talking about: overcoming the adversity or the mental challenges behind it, right? Especially first starting out. I think it's very easy to get in the chaos. It's very easy to have like no schedule. So like you're ping ponging around doing a whole bunch of things, and you're just like getting by, and then it's the next day, and then it's the next day, and you're still ping ponging around. I think until you find a structure, like a daily structure for yourself, like the mornings you do this, the afternoons is this, the evenings is this, when do you do your emails? When do you do your calls? When do you do your working out? When do you do this? Until you get that together, it's very hard to get that collective mind together of structure, right? And the second thing I think about once in a while is, how did you even get here? What were some of the challenges you already had to overcome in your, whether it was in school, or whether it was after school, whether it was exams, whether it was overcoming a challenge? How did you overcome that? Because if you overcame that, it's not going to be any different than what you're trying to overcome now. Yeah. So it's always relating back to things that you went through that were monumental achievements and challenges that you overcame that can really help too. So I see that as overcoming. I think your point is great.
Dude, Al, like you are like the absolute greatest example, dude. When I first met you, you were like 100 pounds lighter, and this isn't even that long ago. Like that is continuous step-by-step action. That is amazing. You want to talk about overcoming? That is amazing, man. That is awesome. And you prove it. You prove it every day on what your routine is by being able to do like that structure. Like I'm telling you, you like, and you were looking really good when I saw you back in June, man. And then I was like, holy crap. Because when I first saw you, you were like 100 pounds. I was like, dude, this is amazing. Like, congratulations on that.
Thank
That's
you.
amazing.
Thank you, David. Yeah, it's crazy, right? And I think it got to a point of the chaos was too much. The chaos, right? You keep doing the same thing over and over again. Is anything even going to change? No. You got to find something that works and change it. Whether it's health, whether it's business, but you can't get yourself together until you get your schedule together. So like when you saw me back in June of last year, that's when I like it was May, but like right around then is when I really had just started to figuring out a schedule. Like, and it got to the point for me when I went away to Ricardo's event. Oh my gosh, what am I going to do? How's my schedule? Like, I'm super strict about it, and it's okay because you're going to get thrown into situations where your schedule changes. But I think overall, it's you just got to power through it. You got to remember, you did it before. You've done it with this. You did it with that. You can do it with this. So, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, man. And I think once again, it's going to test your belief in your faith, man. And those are really better times to even hunker down more in what it is, man, because you have to remember there's a higher purpose into what you are doing than just simply these day-to-day things. It's going to happen. You have to have a belief in it. And if you do, you're going to get, as you just mentioned, you're going to get lost very quickly. So it's very important. I understand the importance of scheduling. Right here is my book of where I go through my daily to-dos, and then I look at my calendar and I do everything that you're mentioning. But I also take time, like I mentioned, in the morning to meditate and to pray, to write down goals. Like, you need that time, especially as entrepreneurs. If you're a real estate entrepreneur, or any type of entrepreneur, really, you got to take time to think about what is the bigger piece that you're looking for? What is that bigger dream? Because there's going to be times where you're dealing with something that you don't want to deal with. But if you don't keep that larger mindset of what you're really trying to get to, yeah, you can give up pretty quickly on it.
Yeah. Love your thoughts on the whole thing. It's fascinating too. You had the partnership, and then you had the breakup, and then you had to start from scratch, and then you had to overcome that. And now you're scaling your business. Now it's growing. You got VAs. Mm-hmm. It's amazing. And one thing that has been huge, we talked about in your business, has been the triple offer. This concept that a lot of people, you told me, talk about, but it's like you nailed it. Like, you hammered it home. I mean, identifying the offer, providing 3 offers, and hammering it home. What is the triple offer, and where did it come from? What's this whole thing?
Yeah, it's just really a great sales approach and tactic to be able to understand how to remove yourself from a situation. I have truly believed that when you're really getting into a sales flow, is how are you best serving that person, as opposed to always thinking about how you're serving yourself. If you're always trying to serve yourself, they're gonna sense it. Anybody can tell, right? That's why you talk about like a pushy car salesman, right? Everybody understands that kind of connotation. Don't be the pushy real estate investor too. What the triple offer is being able to do is, hey, Mr. Seller, we've had a couple of great conversations here. Based off of our conversations, I've been able to sense that what are some of your priorities. And then you go through step by step on what you believe would be the best options, right? So we start in and we come in with something like, say, like our cash offer, right? Well, sir, I understand that you want money within 30 days and you want something that's going to be cash as is. Here's that offer if you want this offer. If not, here's another offer that we could be able to provide. Sometimes depending on the equity position of that property, if they have a mortgage, do they not have a mortgage, that's part of like what we make sure of when we're pulling list is what are some of those criteria that we're looking for. So if there's somebody that has, let's just theoretically say, have a good amount of equity, but they still have a mortgage, maybe it's something that makes a little more sense with a novation for them. Does it make sense to do a subject to transaction for them? Or my creme de la creme that I always love is to be able to see if can I maybe get them to a very high principal only type of deal, right? That has to, the stars align when those happen, right? Those are properties that are free and clear. And those are people that want to be able to they just want to be able to, what's the best way to really put it? I use it really on another event, on other investors when they want tax ramifications, because it's an installment sale, right? So you're being able to do a tax write-off over a period of years, as opposed to if I just sold it to you for $200,000 right now, you have capital gains on it right now. Year 2023, you are going to be paying capital gains on it, as opposed to if you are being able to do that on a creative financing schedule, you are doing that on installment. So you're being able to spread out your capital gains taxes over a period of years. So it's sometimes a really great tax advantage when we're going from that offer 2, which is a steering wheel offer, into now offer 3. So
awesome.
What we just, it's just been able to be, it's just not about me anymore. And you know what I realized too, Al, very quickly? The defenses of the people go down a lot. I'm not finding myself in some hostile negotiations anymore. I find myself with the people maybe tweaking one thing here or there, but I'm having good conversations.
Because you're providing them alternatives to maybe what they either don't know about, maybe they're more interested in. Maybe with the creative financing, they really like the fact that they're going to get payments, but based off the amount of payments, it's going to be more than the cash offer. Or maybe they just like the fact that the novation's going to be they know that you're going to help them find an end buyer, but maybe it's going to be a higher listing price, right? It's going to be a higher price on that. So you're always having the package ready, of course, right before the call. Like, you're not having the cash offer and then they say no, and then you got to go back to the drawing table and then call them back and say, what about this one? Then, they say no, call them back. You're having everything right there in front of you. So when they strike you down, are you also like going through each one just in case?
Each one meaning what? What do you mean?
Each offer, like you're telling them each offer?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We walk them through it. Sometimes, and it might surprise you, sometimes I will just throw out the first offer. If I want to get like sometimes if I feel like they're a little tense and we want to get a kind of like a negotiation going, well, I'll go, well, Mr. Seller, I know you really want $300,000. And what I can tell you is that my cash offer is not going to be $300,000. Because I'll probably be at that point being able to assess the property. Maybe it's worth $280, maybe it's worth $320, whatever it is. It's too high to make a cash offer. So what I will do sometimes is I will come in and I will make that first offer, and I will just start anchoring expectations. Like, hey, you know what? If you want me to tell you what my cash offer is, this is what my cash offer is going to be. Boom. I just did it today. And the guy, and it was perfect because the guy was saying, well, the other investor, he just kind of stopped there. And I go, I know, that's where a lot of people stop. And then I told him, but I'll tell you what, I do have 2 other offers I can create for you based off of what you told me. This is a guy that's owned the property for over 20 years. He was talking to me about doing possibly a 1031 exchange, or just simply not wanting to deal with the property himself anymore. So, okay, you don't want to deal with the property yourself. You're talking about 1031 exchanges, but you're also talking about, like, you just start piecing things together, right? And so then you get to be able to see maybe in offer 2, I make sure that he gets more money down, or do I make sure he gets more of a cash flow, right? And then you structure it for the other one too. So you kind of get to play around, and then you get to see, well, he goes, well, you know what? I think actually I would want a little bit more cash down because I do want to get more money to go into that 1031 exchange, as opposed to I want more cash flow. Well, perfect. You see, now I'm not having that crazy of a negotiation. He did a negotiation for himself. I want more money up front as opposed to the cash flow part. Oh, okay, cool. I'll structure it that way then.
Yeah, it depends on their need too. Do they need that money now? Or are they cool waiting? I think I was alluding to with Cash Money Mike last week. It's like the lottery. Right, you win the lottery. Do you want the cash lump sum, or are you cool waiting for the payments? Right.
Yeah,
so
it's Cash Money Mike is fire. His stuff is great, dude. I love his stuff. I would love to say that I would be a little bit more in approach. He's a little bit more aggressive than me, I'd say, but I love his approach, man. And he hit it on the head on the last week's episode for you about well, if you want higher price, I'm going to stretch it out. Because I was already being able to do that with a lot of my people. And I was like, he just put it in a perfect phrase. That's exactly what I would do. Because I'm just talking to somebody right now for a portfolio. And oh my gosh, man. I wish actually I was talking to him on it, because I didn't even think about it until like I remember watching your episode where I was like, well, you know what? This would make a whole lot more sense for me for cash flow if I spread this from 30 years to 40 years. And then the guy was like, I didn't even know you could do that. I'm like, there was no rules. It's just if you agree to it and I agree to it, then that's the rule. Now we just made the rule, right? So he was a perfect example of that last week on your show. So he's great, dude. He's a ninja. He's awesome.
Oh yeah, his reels and all his content that he drops on this stuff and coaching. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, there's so many people that are really getting into the creative financing game because people don't want the traditional offers. They're okay. I think it just comes down to the education, right, David? Like, can you educate the seller on what the upside is to it?
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, you're hitting the nail on the head right now, Al, because I'm actually starting to do series here in Orlando with some of like the local mortgage companies, title companies, and even attorneys, because there's a lot of agents that are getting hit with a lot of these creative financing offers, and they don't know what to do. They are in this position where they don't really understand the creative financing, and they don't know how to present that to a seller, right? So they're the listing agent, and then they're getting these creative financing, like let's just say a lease option with like a seller carryback. And I mean, if you had started in the last 3 or 4 years, you would never need to know those terms. The properties will just sell themselves, right? Put that sucker on the market, 5 offers within 3 days. Why would you need to understand a seller carryback? Why? Why would you understand that? You didn't need to understand that. But now the market is on the other side, right? It's cyclical. We were up here, and now we're making our way down to the bottom. And now you have to be able to adjust to that.
And I think some sellers, some homeowners are getting used to the seller term. I was telling Cash Money on the last episode that I saw George Salas. He was kneeling down, looking at a sign, a FSBO sign of somebody that was just trying to sell their home. No realtor. They just wanted to get rid of it. And in the box, it said, "We'll do seller financing." You know, how often do you see a FSBO sign that says, "We'll do seller financing"? I mean,
yeah.
So it seems like it's getting out there more, and but I like that triple offer, right? Having all these opportunities, everything right there at your fingertips to say, do you want this package or this package? Oh, you don't like either? Oh, you have this package, and they may like it, they may accept it, or maybe they don't want to do anything at all.
Yeah.
So that's going to be huge. David,
I want to tell you one quick story too, because of like now people are starting to get to it, right? The thing I mentioned earlier with chatting with a seller for a portfolio, he literally goes, and I didn't mention that it was called a triple offer or anything like that. He goes, I'm going to choose door number 2. Is that still a show? But I'm going to choose door number 2. And I was like, there it is. Because at the end of the day, they're all separate doors, but they all lead to one goal, right? It's you being able to work with them. What terms do they want that work for you as well as them, right? So it's so funny that he just goes, I'll choose door number 2. And I was like, man, this is awesome. It was awesome. I really got giddy. I think I posted it earlier today. I got giddy when a seller, and this is a really smart guy, right? He owns 9 duplexes, and he was just, I'll choose door number 2. I was like, oh man, that's great. You know, now he's starting to understand that he got to choose it. He chose door number 2. I didn't push door number 2. He chose it. There's a difference, right?
Right. Absolutely. Love it. David, all of this, the partnerships, the overcoming, the triple offer, a lot of golden nuggets in a jam-packed episode. And I think this is great. So if anybody missed this, you definitely got to watch this all over again and check out David's episode. Before we hop off, I wanted to talk about this because it's come up in my world. You mentioned it when we were on the phone. The hot recent trend. Maybe this is going to be a segment on the show. Hot recent trend on imposter fraud on transactions. What is going on that you've seen recently with imposter fraud?
Man, I got another deal just 2 days ago that I was like, man, this is feeling a little weird. There's people, we're all skip tracing from pretty similar resources. And some of these people that are the wrong numbers are getting wise to it. And for example, somebody last week, and they got me. I paid them $100 of gas money to be able to come and show me the property, and they were not real people. Oh, they were, but they weren't the owners, right? These people are getting really good, and I've had 3 in the last month, and I don't think I had 3 all of last year, where people are getting these calls continuously, where they're just now trying to see, well, how much can I get out of this person? I've had 2 properties. One I just mentioned, another one where the guy is like, there's now tall tale signs. It's people that are really trying to push for a very quick close. Like if you don't think that the property is under a foreclosure and they're like, I need this closed in like 2 weeks, like something's a little fishy nowadays for that. I started realizing if they want you to pay them outside of a title closing. That's obviously very big. This guy was good though. I will walk you through this one because I was impressed. I was of course a little mad, but I mean, it was $100. I was just more like, damn, this guy was good. I was impressed. I was very impressed with it because the guy he seemed a little bit older, and he was just like, this property has just become a burden. It was a family property, which was this guy. The guy knew the story very well, and he was like, but unfortunately, I'm on Social Security, and I just don't have the money to be able to make it down to Orlando. And I was like, okay. And this is not just one call, by the way. This is like over a span of 2 or 3 weeks. If the guy stuck to the story well, man. And the thing is that he was like, I just need some gas money to be able to get there. And I tried doing other options, but I was like, he's a little bit elderly. Sometimes, they just want to do stuff face to face as opposed to a mobile notary or DocuSign or faxing or whatever it is, right? So I was like, you know what? Fine. It's $100. Like, here you go. Like, he's like, all right, thanks for being able to do that. We're going to go on the road tomorrow. I was like, okay, perfect. So he tells me he's going on the road, and this is insane. He tells me he's coming from Pensacola, which is roughly about 4 or 5 hours away from Orlando, and he should be here by about 4 o'clock. And I was like, okay, just let me know. Because it was right near where my office is. Like, I could walk to this property. And I was so excited. I was like, man, I'm going to get another property right near here. Awesome. I'm so excited, right? Oh, hey, David, I got a call from him. Hey, David, I'm sorry, man. It looks like I'm not going to be able to get in until about like 9 or 10. I was like, you told me 4 o'clock. How the heck did it happen like 5 hours later? And he's like, hey, I know we didn't talk about this, but it would really mean a lot. I feel like you could help me out with paying for like part of the room for tonight. And I'll meet you at the property like first thing in the morning. I was like, no, I'll meet. And I go, well, tell you what, I'll meet with you. I'll talk to the front desk receptionist and I'll meet you at the property. And we can go from there. Or I'll meet you at the hotel, whatever you want prior. And that's fine with me. And then he did like a great gaslight for people who didn't understand what gaslighting was. Like, I guess me for the last couple of like weeks, gaslighting is when you just completely flip the script on somebody and make it seem like now it's their fault as opposed to your fault. Right. He just flips it on me. You know what? This is what I hate about dealing with you real estate investors. You want to take the properties from me. I'm trying to pay it. Like, he's like, and he just goes off. And I was like, oh man, like this guy's like, he's really hurt. I felt bad. And then I was like, listen, I just want to meet with you face to face. I will pay for it with my card to the front desk person. He's like, no, you know what? This is just sheer disrespectful. I've been driving all day. I'm tired. I need to just get some sleep, and then I'll meet you there in the morning. I was like, no. Like, I'm either bringing my contract to the front desk with you, and I'll meet you, or like you can pay for it, and I'll reimburse you. And just went on and on. And he got gaslighted. He's like, I'm going to tell the neighbors you are a fraud. And once again, so this just deteriorates. I just go to knock on the door. Like I said, right near my office. I was like, I got to just find this out. The guy was a retired cop, and he's like, you're the fourth person that has knocked on my door. He got somebody for over $1,000.
Wow. He keeps doing it to more people. It's crazy.
Because everybody's skip tracing, and everybody's calling.
That's crazy. How these people are doing it. They're getting really good at it.
Really good.
Yeah. And David, I've seen some crazy stuff lately, like with land, vacant land. It seems to be a real issue where there's foreign, the people that own the land are foreign international owners. And some people are finding out, they're like either going through the records and saying, well, wait a second, this person's in Asia, this person's in Europe, this person's somewhere else. And they're getting creative about the way that the deeds are done and being notarized and pretending that they're somebody else, or they're a part of the family, or they're an heir of somebody. It's crazy. More on land. Because nobody's there, they're not paying attention.
Right.
I saw one. I did a probate, and it was crazy. And you better believe they're like, oh, they signed away a quit claim to get rid of it. But yeah, these are happening more often than people think.
Yeah. It's like I told you, man. The guy was good. He knew his script.
Crazy.
He was good, man. Yeah, it's. I mean, hey guys, what's the Latin phrase? Caveat emptor. Was that buyer beware, right?
Buyer beware.
You just got to watch out, man. And nowadays, I'll just be a little bit more due diligent. I'll be like, hey, not a problem. If you're good with it, like if you guys could just provide a driver's license to the title company upon contract, then I'd be completely fine. You just never know, man. People are sneaky. You just got to be able to have good teammates. B, just be able to come across and just be like, you have to develop that experience, right? That's where wisdom comes in, right? And just now, that new one, I will be on the lookout for that. So the guy was good. So just watch out, guys. It's a real thing, and it's impacting a lot of people. And I'm sure it comes across your desk, as you mentioned, a lot, Al. I mean, you're a probate attorney in Florida, man. You're dealing with a lot of people, unfortunately, that maybe these properties haven't been touched for a very long time. So that's a dang good point.
Yeah, it's crazy. We just saw it with the land. The land's the wild one with the international sellers, the international owners. For some reason, that seems to be a pretty big target. I think even some title underwriters keep putting out alerts that this keeps happening with fraud and all that stuff. I think Chad was on the show. Chad was saying that like this keeps happening more often. So Teresa said the seller fraud is even happening when you close with a title company and notary does ID verification. Wow. Still happening that way.
That's elite. That's elite, man. That is some crazy fraud. Wow.
Yeah. She says,
yeah. I mean, listen, it's part of the world. It's part of the world, but man, that's good, man. That's a scheme. That's continuously happening. That is crazy because you just don't stumble upon that, right? You had to really take some time to articulate that.
Sophisticated fraud.
Damn.
Yeah, they're getting good.
Yeah, man. That's
crazy. David, it was a fire episode, man. I thank you for being on. Thank you for coming on. Happy that the internet was solid ever since, and we got through. We got through everything. The power was on.
That was so good.
Hey, you know what? It worked out, right? We've been through worse. We've had worse situations. So, as I do with all
it was crazy. It was so crazy because the second that you did it, everything turned off. I was like, "What just happened?" I was like, "This guy brought he just brought an electromagnetic pulse through freaking all of Florida, and it just hit my house over here in Orlando, man." You bring the energy, brother. That was crazy. I've never experienced that. That was awesome.
Perfect. That's a first for you. Perfect. I love it. I would have loved to have seen what that was like on that end. That had to be really cool. But yeah, man, look, hey, as I do with all my guests on the Al Nicoletti Show, when we wrap this up, I do my segment, final words, final thoughts. It could be anything on what we covered, anything on your experiences, getting into the journey, exit strategies, things you're working on now, maybe things that you're looking at later. But I do final words, final thoughts. David Pupo.
Thanks. Yeah. Right now, guys, is a very critical time to be able to understand different strategies. I was just reading that on the current market, outstanding mortgages, 99% of them are lower than today's interest rates. What I've also seen is that our unemployment rate by the end of this year is going to go up at least a full percent. There's going to be layoffs. There's an estimated 2 million people that are going to be laid off in 2023. Those are going to be some of the final dominoes that are going to get knocked over, and then this will be a true. Like we've been in it for a little bit, but we're kind of putting our head in the sand. This is happening. You got to understand that the market is it was swung one way so hard that it's coming back the other. Interest rates are high. Freaking chicken eggs are crazy high. Gas is still crazy high. Interest rates are high. I mean, everything is making the normal everyday consumer's life unaffordable. I was seeing that credit card debt is at all-time highs since about 2007. These are not crazy indicators. These are all correlated. People cannot simply afford what's going on. There has to be something that just comes down. And when it comes down, you got to make sure you are working with the right teammates. You are working with the right strategies on an entrance and the right exit strategies too. It's going to be critical. And the people that have been preparing for it are going to be the ones that capitalize on it. And the people who aren't are going to be the ones that are being capitalized on. It's going to be critical. My final words for you and this entire people there, Al, is really simple after all that. You don't know how strong you are until you have to be that strong. And I would like to be able to make sure that people understand there's going to be times that happen right now that are just going to test you. I want everybody to be able to take some time and really just reflect, be intentional on what you're about to do. You're not going to know the entire puzzle, but there's going to be pieces that you could put together one piece at a time. You will be able to solve that puzzle, but take it one step at a time and be courageous, being very high in your belief of what you can achieve, and you will be able to do it.
Powerful stuff right there, David. Hey, love it. Loved having you on. Loved all the knowledge. Loved the story and you overcoming all this stuff to be where you are today. I think it's fantastic. Can't wait to see what you're going to be up to in the next 6 months, a year when you're growing the coaching business, growing your real estate business. You keep going, brother. Keep going.
Yeah. Hey, thank you so much for being able to invite me on here, Al. You know me very well. I chat with you all the time, man. And you're a really, really, really great person. I really appreciate your friendship, my man.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that. Likewise. I think this is great. We get to work on the crazy probate stuff, right? Like all those crazy things that keep coming up, and we're brainstorming on all this stuff. We're like, this is insane. How do we overcome this? How do we deal with that? So
it's just one puzzle piece at a time, man. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. It's just, man, it's so true. Just one step at a time, guys. You'll be okay.
You got it. David, I can't wait to see you next time. Whenever we're at a conference, an event in Orlando, wherever it is, we're going to catch up. And I can't wait to see you keep taking off, brother.
Bro, let me know when you're in town. I'd love to be able to grab some food with you, man.
Sounds like a plan. I'll see you soon.
See you, bud.
All right, man. All right, everybody. Another amazing episode with David Pupo coming on the show. Another great guest that talks about how you can really level up your business in real estate, the journey that they've been through and where they're going, what little tips and tricks you can learn from. So if you want more educational tips and tricks like this, make sure you check out all the amazing guests that have been on the Al Nicoletti Show on season 1, season 2, season 3. And we are going to be back again next Wednesday, live 9 p.m. Eastern. You don't want to miss it. I always thank all the followers, fans, and everybody that's always watching the show, always commenting. Teresa, Eluya, Nina, who else was on? There was quite a bit of, John was on. Everybody that's on, thank you so much for joining in. Stay tuned next week, live Wednesday, 9 p.m. I will see you all there. Have a great night.